So I heard someone say that Across the Spider-Verse was one of the best superhero movies ever, and I'm just like, it's an interesting argument because I'm not going to outright say that that's not true. I will say Into the Spider-Verse is definitely a very good superhero movie, all things considered. But the problem with Across the Spider-Verse is that it steps into that weird little area of sequels that need another sequel to back them up. So if you go in intending to do a trilogy, the problem with the way that they lined it up, the whole story is set up in this way that there are no stakes actually in the second film. So from beginning to end, there's nothing actually happening that has consequences. All of the consequences, all of the climax got pushed out into the expected and intended third movie. So all this buildup and this conflict doesn't get resolved, doesn't get satisfied until the third movie, putting all the responsibility to finish it out on the third movie, which I have a problem with. I don't like really bad cliffhangers. That was a really bad cliffhanger in Across the Spider Verse. Is it just like how a comic book would do it? Yeah, yeah, and I understand the relationship there. But if you look at the best trilogies, or just good trilogies, there's usually an arc, right? It just goes beginning, middle, end, beginning, middle, end, beginning, middle, end. Right? That's what the Lord of the Rings does. That's what the Dark Knight does. Most good trilogies kind of, maybe they're not completely solid every time. Maybe they're not as good as each other, but the narrative line, it wraps up a good chunk of what's been going on by the end of the movie. So Back to the Future is another trilogy that kind of did this. It put all the stakes into the third movie to kind of bring it all back together. It was very heavily dependent on the third movie doing well. And I don't know, when you're told that, hey, you get 3 movies for this, maybe that's fine, but if you're seeing the movie in theaters, or if you don't have time to binge watch every single one in a row, you can get kind of lost. And then if you're looking at the movie as just one piece, the second part, yeah, you can't say that it's good because it depends completely on what's going to happen if the movie's good, or well, if the story is good. It can be visually pleasing and have good acting and all this stuff. But it really does create a problem if you put everything on the third movie. So you're depending very heavily on the third part to be the big finish in the whatever. And if you can deliver on it like Back to the Future does, I think they do just fine at wrapping everything up adequately. It's just you spent the whole second movie just kind of pushing the stakes up and up and up and up and up, and it's a lot of responsibility, and it's a lot of time and effort put into making sure that you deliver rather than settling business right then and there when you're there, so that everyone can have a satisfactory conclusion to some of what's been going on by the end of part 2. So that's just an opinion I have, and I just, trilogies, the way that they've changed over time too. Like I remember when trilogies, if you saw them in theaters, like it was a big deal. And it was important that you came away with some sort of resolution or satisfaction, because if you didn't, then you'll have to wait uh, years in some cases for the next one to come out in theaters, just so you can figure out what the crap happened, and that's not very fun. So, I think it's just important that's understood, because it's a weird little domain where people think that it's like, oh, this is so good, and it's like, well, nothing happened really. Like, you know, everything's been set up, but nothing got resolved. So, it's just funny to me that people missed that. It's weird.